Paronto will be signing and selling copies of his book, The Ranger Way, in the exhibit area at the booth of Operating Engineers 825. When you read his book, it is a stark reminder about how dangerous the world we live in can be, and that America's armed forces are willing to sacrifice their own lives to protect our great country. Before Kris comes out to speak, there's a short video he'd like to show.
My name is Kris Paronto, and my call sign was Tanto. And I was with the 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. I was in Bravo Company.
Name's John Tigan, former Marine. Did 4 years with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines.
My name's Mark Geist. My call sign's Oz. I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years. I was in Benghazi for about 30 days when the attack happened that night.
Hey everybody, this is Jack Silva. Jack. It's our 3rd contract together, so he knows the drill.
We had the DB, former Marine, Jack, who was a SEAL, and then Roan, he was a SEAL. It was a good crew. 13 hours just tells the minute-by-minute story of what happened that night. Try to get what we all did and what we went through.
We as a team decided that the story that wasn't being told out there was what actually happened that night, and so we felt compelled to make sure the story gets out there the right way. It's not about the politics, it's the story of what happened on the ground.
GRS stands for Global Response Services. We're mainly used in high-threat areas.
We are the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency, and we just provide protection in austere environments.
Hey, we're coming in, we're on property!
Is Kris inside? Is he still inside? Get down!
All of us were former military, Spec Ops guys or Marines. You're working with some of the top guys in their respective services.
13 hours was how long we were in the fight that night.
The state guys, we just heard them on the radio say, hey, if you guys don't get over here, we're all gonna die. And we just kind of looked at each other and said, we gotta go now.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
Americans help Americans overseas, especially in areas where there wasn't any military support.
We had to go, no matter what. Damn the consequences.
Got some wind, here we go. Roll.
Our director is Michael Bay. He's been very respectful to us, and he's taken this seriously, and he's got us involved.
Michael has that vision of what he wants, and he's doing it in a way so it's as accurate as possible.
Ready, and go. You won't touch.
My teammates did so many amazing things, and it's a story of the battle. It's a story of a lot of sacrifice that went on. It shows that there's still guys out there that are willing to sacrifice their lives for others, you know, to put others before themselves.
Very good. Got it. Beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in a warm welcome for Kris Paronto.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
very much.
Thank you, too. Thank you. Oh, sit down, please. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I keep eating. Please. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, but it's not necessary. And Bobby, don't you eat my cake. I'm watching you, brother. That's mine right there. Hey, I appreciate y'all having me, and thank you again. Y'all, sometimes I tend to ramble, and it's been a long couple weeks. I just came in from San Diego. This is not a joke in my arms. I'm not saying going that route, but speaking a lot. So I want to just kind of get into it and what happened there in Benghazi. But when I talk about it, though, I throw other instances in there. People don't realize I worked in some other countries as well for 10 years. Before Benghazi even happened, I'd been deploying for 10 years at that point. Going to Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, Libya, off the coast of Somalia, you know, all these great places I got to work at. Actually, Mosul is beautiful this time of year. I have a timeshare there if you guys want to go on your company trip. It's a fantastic. But, you know, I'll pull instances from there. I'm not going to get in politics of it. It doesn't need to be. Benghazi was completely politicized, and people missed what really took place there. And that was heroism and courage and sacrifice. These things that this country's built on. That sometimes we tend to forget. Selfless service. When my Army brother here mentioned selfless service, he's spot on. That's what Benghazi was. Guys giving of themselves. John 15:13, loves them greater than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. Now, this isn't a Christian talk. I'm not going to get it. I am a Christian, worst Christian in this room. I got you all beat. I'm a terrible Christian. My guardian angel is just like, God, give me this detail. I don't know how the heck I got this guy. I got to make sure he does the right things. But I am. But what I'm going to say, though, as I talk, is that as a good Christian, we don't say, hey, you got to believe in Christianity. We don't say that. We say, believe in something. There's something out there. And I hope you can pull that from there. But also we want to talk about leadership, too, and how the team was full of leaders, and how as leaders we had to take over in a situation where it could have got a lot worse if we didn't. And sometimes leaders, you have to sacrifice not just yourself. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your careers, which we did. We all got fired for doing the right thing. We really didn't know that. The whole team. And we lost all of our security clearances, every one of them. Department of Defense, State Department, and CIA clearances. But it was still the right thing to do. As a leader, you do that. You make those choices. Well, one thing too, as I get going, guys, I'm not politically correct at all. So if I offend anybody in this room, I doubt I will because I'm with contractors. I love you guys. You guys are roughnecks. Love you. But if I do, help yourself out. There's the Toys for Tots sign. Just go out that exit. I'll talk to you. Yeah, here we got a Marine in the back there. I move around a lot. I don't like that podium. So, sir, I'm sorry. I can't use that podium. Death by PowerPoint going through infantry officer's basic course when I went through. I can't do that. I'll put you guys to sleep. So I'm going to walk around a little bit. But also, as I go, people don't realize combat is fun. There's a lot of funny things that went on that night. I'll tell you a few of them. You're not going to feel like you need to laugh. You're going to be like, oh, I don't know if I should laugh at this or not. Laugh, because we were laughing. 13 Hours was awesome. The reason they did a good job, Michael did a good job, is because he threw all those jokes in there. Those jokes weren't Hollywood movie magic. We said all those things that night. That's how you get through situations. Sometimes you have to laugh. Even the worst situation in the world, you're like, I got to laugh about it, pick myself up. So if you feel uncomfortable laughing when I tell a joke at a situation about that night, don't. Just laugh. It's okay. You're not going to offend me. I want you to. Well, I'll just get started. Benghazi, Libya. We had a great team. It was a fantastic team. We had 2 Navy SEALs, Tyrone Woods, who passed away that night, Rowan, SEAL Team 6, Devagoo guy. We also had Jack Silva, who's a West Coast SEAL, fantastic guy. If you watch the movie again, he looks just like John Krasinski. They're a splitting image, big ears out here, boy next door look. He's just, your daughters would all want to marry Jack Silva because he is that epitome, boy next door, good looking guy that just is, that's a warrior. Then you had Mark Osgeis, John Tig Tigan, who you saw Mark's the big-headed Marine up there. He's a huge head. And then you got Tig, big old country boy Tig. Then you got my best friend, Dave Boone Benton, DB. How blessed was I to be in that situation with my best friend? I couldn't imagine being there with anybody else. He'd saved me in Baghdad once. He saved me in Kabul once, too. Love it, right there. How lucky is that? And then you had the Army Ranger from the 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, who the Marines and SEALs were lucky they had there that night. And hell, those guys, I'm just kidding, Marines. I know you guys get offended by that. The Ranger was there just trying to help out. I'm just there trying to help everybody out. And that team, though, even though we'd only been there for 30 days together, as a team, as a unit, that's it. The only other person I'd worked with before was Boone. We just kind of gelled. And the reason we gelled is we put our egos aside. Yes, believe me, come on, you guys that served, and all you veterans in the audience and law enforcement, that former law enforcement, thank you for your service. I always want to say that. I'm sorry I forgot about that. I don't want to. You guys are awesome, fantastic. Especially you Vietnam vets, welcome home. I always want to say that too. You guys are fantastic. But you know that all of us, especially special ops guys, we got egos. We got huge egos. But we put those egos aside because we had to work together. Oz and I don't get along. We don't. We don't like each other. But we put those things aside because if we didn't work together as a team and we let these differences come to the forefront, people are going to die. Now I know it's at an extreme, but as a team, you have to find a way to work together, and we did. We needed it that night too, and the next morning. Well, 9/32, I remember getting in 9/11/2012. The team was fantastic. We're gelling, everybody's moving, everybody's doing their jobs. 9/32 comes that night, I remember. And our GRS, Global Response Staff team leader, we didn't portray him in the movie because Bob and him are the same guy. He's a staffer. He's an employee. of the CIA. We're all contractors. We're all direct hire, independent contractors. We all work directly for the agency. You guys, I think it's kind of funny if you put it together with that acronym, DHIC. That's what we are. We call it dicks. That's what we were. That's what we were. But we had a GRS staffer that was in charge of us. He calls us on the radio. Employee for the CIA. He's not held the same standards we are. No military experience. We're required to have at least 6 years special ops experience to get our jobs. He's in charge of us. You guys work for the government. You know what I'm talking about. You know, sometimes they're kind of wishy-washy there. But he calls us on the radio and he says, GRS, we need you in the team room. Now, it was a very nonchalant call. Wasn't a lot of sense of urgency when he said it. And I remember I looked at Boone. Boone's laying right there, and he looks at me and he goes, Tano, what'd you do? That's the first thing he said, because he's been with me for 10 years. Now, if you watch 13 Hours, if you watch it again, or you see it for the first time, you'll watch where me and Boone are watching a movie within a movie. We're watching the second best war movie ever made. 13 Hours is the best, by far. And then you have, I know Marcus, you guys had Marcus talk before. He'll argue with that, Marcus Luttrell. He's a good guy. But we're watching the second best war movie ever made, Tropic Thunder. You ever seen it? That's like that's fantastic. The reason it's in the movie. Okay, this is what I used to do to case officers, and Michael thought it was clever to do this. We had these case officers that we would protect, the Jason Bournes, the spies. These are the spies that we're protecting the spies. So these guys, and they got younger and younger the older I got, and I'm just saying they just kept getting younger and younger. Well, these spies would come in, and they're kids. They got straight out of college, brilliant. Street smarts, not so much. So I wanted to test them. As a Ranger, you test. As a private, I got tested. If you can't handle little jokes, a little jackassery, how are you going to handle it when combat comes? So getting back to Tropic Thunder, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. My kind of humor, Bill Engvall, right? Here's your sign. That's my kind of humor. That's what Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy. Well, I had this little sheet of paper that I'd laminated and I took it to every base. And it was Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Tropic Thunder, right? What does he say? He looks off in the distance, that famous line where he's talking with Ben Stiller and he says, never go full retard. Remember that? Yeah. So I had that. I had it laminated. So whenever a CIA case officer did something stupid, this is just one of the things I used to do. One of the practical jokes I used to play on them. I would put it on their desk. So some Harvard Ivy League grad does not want to see that first thing on his or her desk, never go full retard when they did something stupid. But I did that. There's a reason I did that. First of all, I thought it was funny, and my humor's, and I'm not a nice guy all the time. I'm not. But second of all, again, I wanted to see what the reaction would be. What was the base's reaction? What would they do if they got poked a little bit? Well, most of the time I would get in trouble. Well, I didn't mind. I wasn't going to get fired. I got written up a lot. But it was also my thing indicator, like, man, if stuff ever happens bad, these guys aren't going to be able to handle it. They're going to go in the tank. And I was right. I hate to say it was right, but it was. Well, that's why Boone looks at me though and goes, Tano, what'd you do? Because if I get in trouble, then the whole team gets in trouble. So he's getting to think, oh, Tano, you got us all in trouble again. And I remember I looked at Boone, come back to 9/11, 2012. I said, bro, I didn't do anything. I said, I've been good. I've been an angel all day. I've been good. 30 seconds later, though, we do get a emergent call. And I just remember the voice on the radio from a GRS team leader. He says, we need all GRS in the team room now. And I'm even getting chills right now, because that's what happens. You hear that voice, and that chill come in the back of your spine, comes up to your head, your hair stands on the back of your neck. Some of you guys have felt that before. I'm sure some of you veterans have been downrange. You don't have to see what's going on. You just know something's happening. And it's that adrenaline. It's that fight or flight. When I do talks to kids, or I go talk to veterans of PTSD, or talk to anybody about fight or flight responses, it's just adrenaline. That's all it is. I've learned how to harness it. I've learned how to figure it out. It's just adrenaline. You can be scared, or you can go towards the gunfire, not be scared. And you can utilize that adrenaline to your advantage. So what I'm thinking in myself, I'm thinking in my head, okay, it's just adrenaline. I'm getting pumped up. Push that stuff out. Push it out. Physically, push all that adrenaline to your hands. Push it to your feet. Push it up to your head so your eyes just open up. And the world opens up, and it does. It just goes, opens up. We call going in the flow. We get in the flow. We're in it. All right, that's why a lot of us have a hard time coming back to the States, because you can't get into that flow as much as you can when you're overseas. But we're in it. I'm on it, not scared. I'm also looking at Boone. I'm with my best friend. I'm good. Good to go. Let's go get in it. It's always good to have a buddy right next to you when you're ever going to get into something hard, something tough, something you can depend on. And we head out the door. We have our gear. We get out the door. I remember, and I go out my front, and I can still see it plain as day. I look at, and I'm seeing this Tracers. I'm seeing the firefight. We're at the annex. It's 3/4 of a mile away from that State Department consulate. We're at a secret CIA facility that has a bunch of white guys always coming out with tattoos. I mean, that's how secret it is. Everybody knows that we're there. But you're seeing the tracers. You're seeing the orange and green. And you're seeing basically from the size of the weapon system, whether it's an AK-47 or a belt-fed weapon, we call it PK. And you're seeing these things just, and it's beautiful. You all got to do that one time. Watch a firefight like that. Just watch those tracers go. It's the most glorious thing you'll ever see. It's gorgeous. I remember we used to fly, when I was in Canada, another great place I used to work at, Kandahar. We used to get on a little bird, I used to fly in to this place called Lashkar in the Helmand province. And I used to go with my local Kandahar guys, my little Pashto security guys. They were awesome, little guys about this tall. We would fly in, and we would land in the soccer field. We'd get off our little helicopter, our little hip, and these little NDS guys, little guys would come pick us up. We'd go to these buildings, and we weren't supposed to be there, so we would just go on the rooftops protecting these case officers doing these meetings in secrecy. And so we would just be basically in the middle of firefights. We weren't supposed to intervene because that wasn't our job. We weren't supposed to be there, so we would just, I remember just sitting in Lashkar on the rooftop, have Copenhagen in. He's chewing this thing called Nassoir. It's like Copenhagen times 50. I put it in once and I about fell over spinning. I don't know how those guys dip that stuff. But he's got it in, and we're sitting there and I'm drinking coffee and we're just watching firefights. It's gorgeous. If you let yourself be in a situation, you can enjoy it, anything. And I let myself be there. So when that night came, I'm in it again. I'm like, well, wow. And I see the team's full of leaders. Full of leaders. And leaders are doing good things. And our leadership there, as far as our team, Tyrone, Jack, Tig, and myself and Boone, Oz is actually out on an op. He's not with us at that point in time. They're doing what good leaders do at that point in time. They're shutting up and they're doing their jobs. Nobody's barking orders. Nobody's yelling at anybody. He has his responsibility to do it. He has his responsibility to do it. We're moving. It's a symphony. It's beautiful. And within 5 minutes, we're ready to go. We got our gear, our cars are staged, we're ready to go. And I remember I walked by Tyrone, Ty's right there, Rowan, he's got his sedan, he's got Jack and Tig in it, he's there. My SUV's here, Boone's job is to get it staged because I'm gonna drive it, he's already set up good to go. I walk by, Ty goes like this to me, I go like this to him, which means it's a universal sign, we're ready to go. And I go to my chief of base here, I go to my team leader here, they're on their cell phones. I go, hey chief, we're ready to go. Chief looks at me, looks at the team leader, says to the team leader, tell these guys they need to wait. I'm like, Chief, I'm right here, man. Team leader actually has the gall to look at me and says, you guys need to, I stop him. I go, I got it, man, thanks. I cussed him out a little bit because I was like, that's rude. Walk back to my car, Tyrone says, what's going on, Tano? I says, Bob's telling us we got to wait. That's hard because you're hearing State Department guys, Alec, Dave, and Scott, who we were friends with, they're calling us on the radio now. We can hear them on our frequencies, on our radio frequencies saying, GRS, where are you? GRS, we are taking heavy fire. We know they're taking heavy fire. We can see it. We're watching. You can hear the RPGs, rock pro grenades. You can hear them go boom. And then you start hearing a ch-ch-ch-ch, which some of y'all that have served know what that is, that lower crescendo, that slower rate of fire. Oh, that's a big gun. That's a Dishka. You're coming out with technicals now. And you're just having to sit there. But you maintain. As a leader or anybody, you maintain your focus. You maintain it. You start to, we call it war gaming. You're problem solving. Every minute that goes by, the situation changes, so you're thinking, okay, what do I need to do next? You're basically, you're not anticipating, but you're trying to stay ahead of the game. You're not in all the black, which is what Bob went into. He didn't know what to do. He went in the black. He just shut down. Best thing as a leader you can always do is just make a decision. Whether it's right or wrong decision, make a decision. He wasn't making any decision. Team leader wasn't either. 15 minutes goes by, and I remember we heard Alec Henderson say, Alec's in the Tackle Operations Center watching his team get decimated on TV screens, on CCTVs. He can't do anything. I mean, they're overrun. Alec says, GRS, you swore you'd get here. That hurt. If you watch the movie again, you'll see a scene where Pablo Schreiber, who played me in the movie, Pablo, great guy, by far the best actor in the movie. I don't know how John Krasinski got top billing. Pablo should have won a Academy. Pablo and I became very, very good friends. He took time to get to know me. So whenever I see Pablo, we still talk. We talked a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, that's me. He did an awesome job. That is me. So I remember, if you watch the movie again, you see Pablo Schreiber standing on a diving board. We just did a risk assessment, a site assessment of this consulate, 9-acre compound. And I remember my ego, again, I'm arrogant overseas extremely. My frontal lobe filter, I leave it on my bedstand when I'm overseas. So when I get up in the morning, I forget to re-engage that. So my mouth just kind of runs like it is right now anyway. But I remember I looked that time, I could see myself on that diving board. Got my dip in, arrogant, been doing this for 10 years. I look at Scott, I look at Alec, I look at Dave. I go, look at this place, man. You can't defend this. It's a sniper's paradise. You got buildings overlooking it. Your walls are soft. I said, look at the 17th Mars Brigade. They're not your friends. They live on the compound with you. You know that, right? They're right there. You see them. They know. I was being facetious. I was patronizing them a bit. I said, they're a terrorist element. You got terrorists living on the compound with you. And I looked right at Scott and I said, if you get attacked by any big element, you're all F and die. You know that, right? You don't say that to a civilian in the Middle East or North Africa that they're going to die. I did. I felt bad. And I was like, shouldn't have said that. Frontal lobe filter, I re-engaged it. And I said, if you ever need us, we'll come get you. The whole team swore. We gave our words that we would come help them if they needed us. So when we got up at 9/11/2012, when Alex says, Jairus, you swore you'd get here, you could just feel the knife in each of our stomachs going, oh, we did. That's when we start to take over. Bottom up leadership. We know what to do. As good leaders, though, sometimes if you are on top, sometimes you have to put that pride aside and say, like Bob should have, and say, you know what, I don't know everything. These guys know what to do. That's their expertise. Run with it. I trust you. He didn't. So I said, okay, Bob, you're done. We're not listening to you anymore. We got to take over here. Again, we know we might lose our lives. We know that we're probably going to lose our jobs. We also know as contractors, because we fall under this insurance called DBA, which is the worst insurance in the world. We don't have government insurance. We have to buy our own private insurance. We know that it says, there's a clause that says if you go out of your normal scope of duties on the job, which disobeying orders is, you get no health insurance, no life insurance. We know that too. So our families will get nothing. It's the right thing. You always do the right thing, no matter what. The right thing is to go help. It wasn't even a question. At the 25-minute mark, when we first got calls, that's when we hear Alex say, GRS, if you don't get here, we're all going to F and die. And I remember I saw Ty, and Ty was no small Navy SEAL. He was like Leonidas. He was a big dude, ham hock of an arm. He just, and he cracks his door, and he goes like this to me. And all I see is this huge ham hock arm come out of his car door, give me a thumbs up saying, we're going. Basically, we're going. And I'm get tingles right now thinking, because in my head I'm going, holy crap, how awesome is this? I get to go to combat with Leonidas. This is freaking great. And I give him a thumbs up through my car window. And as we're moving, because I've been wargaming, in my head, 25-minute mark, it's gone longer now. What do we need? We need our interpreter. Oh, crap. We need Henry. We call him all in the movie. His name is Henry. I'm trying to call Henry on the radio. I can't raise Henry. Get out of my car. I said, believe in something. Sometimes when you believe in something, your luck increases a little bit. It's amazing how that works. Well, as I get out of my car, because I'm thinking, crap, we already wasted 25 minutes, and I'm going to waste another 10 minutes trying to find Henry on this compound. I get out of my car to step out to go find him. He's walking right in front of me. I'm like, well, that's convenient. Okay. I go, hey, Henry, we need you, man. Henry's not a combat terp. That's true in the movie. We said he's not a combat terp. There are different types of interpreters. He's not. Henry's a linguist. Henry, if you want to know what Henry, he looked good in the movie. He didn't look like that in real life. You want to know what Henry looked like? You all know who Bob Newhart is? Imagine Bob Newhart from Egypt. That's what Henry looked like. Henry is an Egyptian Bob Newhart. He had little hair. Love that little guy, though. He's the cutest thing ever. Most adorable. Looked like a little droopy dog. And I go to Henry, and I look right at him, and he did the most courageous thing out of all of us that night. This guy's a civilian. He doesn't belong in this situation. He doesn't want to be there. I go, hey, man, I've been through this situation before. I said, we don't speak the language well enough. I need your Arabic. If we link up with a foreign force, I don't want a blue-on-green incident, which is a friendly fire incident with a friendly foreign force, which we didn't know if we had anyway, but you're trying to eliminate all possible negative outcomes. So I said, hey, we need you, brother. He looks at me, Bob Newhart, and he goes, Tano, I'm not a combat terp. I'm not weapons qualified. I grabbed my pistol. I handed it to him. I said, you are now. Go get your stuff. And he took my pistol, and he did a 180. And he ran back into Building C where all of our gear was. Now, Boone is like this on the vehicle. He's looking at me like this going, you idiot. And I look at him like this. I'm like, he ain't coming back, is he? I just lost my pistol, didn't I? I did. I thought I lost it. But he came back. I still can picture him coming back out of that building. His helmet's all jacked up because he doesn't have his own gear. He didn't know how to put it on. It looked like he was on backwards. I think it was just too loose. His armor actually was down to about here. So all I see is this little turtle with a mini skirt running at me like this. And I did this, I'm laughing. People don't think that happens in combat. It does. I'm laughing, going, oh my gosh, that guy's... And I'm going, you're the most adorable. Get in my truck. You're so cute. Get in my truck. Let's go. I put him in my truck and we drove out. We drive part of the way down there. We get about 400 meters on this road called Gunfighter, on a road called Gunfighter. We get 400 meters from the consulate, the front gate. So we're on Gunfighter. We're coming like this. Then you're supposed to make a right down this dirt road, and then there's the front of the consulate. So we get there. And right where we're supposed to make a right, there is a foreign force there. They're doing nothing. There's two guys putting fire, and they do how they shoot back. They go to the corner of the building and they go brrr, and then they just spray and pray is what we call it. Brrr. Well, we know something's going on. We know they probably shouldn't go down that road. So we stop. We get behind this 8-foot-high block wall. We put our cars in park. We dismount, get guns up. We don't know who friendly is. You have no idea. Nobody wears uniforms. You have no clue who friendly or foe is. And I remember as you get closer to that wall, and we're trying to assess the situation, you start hearing snaps. Now, I already put one thing on your bucket list. You should watch a firefight. That's one thing on your bucket list you need to do. Second thing on your bucket list is you got to feel that snap, and you got to hear that snap. What that snap is when you get close to that wall, whereas we're getting closer, the snaps start to get louder, and then all of a sudden you hear a 2x4 hit behind you, is what I thought was a 2x4 hit behind you. What that snap is when a high-velocity round goes by your head, it breaks a sound barrier. And it snaps. And it's freaking awesome. I'm telling you, you got to do it one time in your life. Just snap, 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 snap. That 2x4, when it goes bam, what that is, it's when a round, like a 7.62 round, AK-47 round, hits something solid behind you. That's pretty close. So the block walls were about right here on the other side. There's block walls everywhere. So rounds were hitting those walls. And I'll tell you what, it gets that blood flowing. And the team's doing what the team should do. It's doing what senior guys do. We're all in our 40s. All of us have been doing this for years. We're just moving into position. Nobody's panicking. We have cover. We got the wall. We're thinking in the flow. Mind's there. That's why I always tell people, when you're training your guys, push them hard. Push them and train them hard. Because when the crap hits the fan, you will always revert to your highest level of training. When that stress levels come up to here, your brain turns off and you go to whatever the highest level of training that you know to be instinctive. So I push him. There ain't no participation trophies in my house. My son gets pushed hard. He's going to thank me later because my dad pushed me hard. Still very good dad. He smacked my butt a few times, but I deserved it. I'm not going to say I didn't. Well, those snaps are going and the team's just moving into position. Jack's moving with his M4. So is Ty. They're going and they're going to engage. And Tig, big country boy Tig, he's like 6'3", 205, country boy from Colorado. He's got our 40mm grenade launcher. It's like daddy's shotgun is what it looks like, a breech load. He just cracks it, puts a little thing we call golden egg, a little 40mm in there. And it looks like he's just walking up to the wall casually going, huh, that's the wind, okay. And he just goes, thump. And then he comes back and you hear that, ba-boom. And it's a beautiful sound. That 40mm is going away from you and exploding, not coming back in. Boone says, we got to get high, Tano, we got to get high. I go, okay. So I grab my belt-fed machine gun, I grab my M4, I grab another drum of ammunition, 200-round drum. I fill my pockets. I am wearing shorts that night. I did fight the Holy War in shorts. That wasn't a dramatization. I still got those shorts. Don't buy them if I sell them on eBay. I probably will one of these days, but you guys don't buy them, but I'll tell you why later. You don't need to know right now. And we started jumping walls. For the next 30 minutes, we fired our way on foot. The ultimate game of hide and go seek. Come on over a wall. We're coming over those walls and like, okay, who's going to be on the other side? Who's been around that bush? Who's behind this building? Because there's buildings they're trying to, infrastructure was trying to come back at the time before we invaded it. The infrastructure is trying to come back. So there's a lot of buildings that are not, they're just shells. Lots of hiding places. Well, we get in the middle of that compound. I remember we finally get in the middle of that compound after 30 minutes fighting our way on foot, that 400 meters. We split, we link back up in. We take another 30 minutes and we start to push off Ansar Sharia and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. We fight off the bad guys. We push them off the compound. It's a 9-acre compound. So we're smoked, we're spent. During that time, too, we're also taking turns going into the ambassador's villa trying to find him, which is completely on fire. I remember when I first went into that villa, I went in and, whoa, it felt like a pizza oven. Like, oh, that's hot. And diesel smoke, they lit everything on fire with diesel. So it got all that black smoke everywhere. Oh, man. So we had to take turns. Well, I remember that about 11:30, that's when Ty and Boone and them are finished looking in their turn in the building, and Boone comes up to me and he's pissed. Boone doesn't get pissed. Boone is a professional Marine. Boone reads philosophy. He reads that Joseph Campbell crap. I don't know how he likes that philosophical crap. I read graphic novels, which I'm just churching up, basically means I read comic books. But Boone is completely different than me. He maintains his composure, and he's lost his composure. And it scares me because I don't see him like that very often. It does. It's like, whoa, something happened. He goes, that mother effer, if he just would have let us leave on time. That son of a, if we would have let them 5 minutes, he'd still be alive. And when he says that, my heart just goes, whew, like, we'd still be alive. I thought I lost a teammate. He says, he'd still be with us, man. And I remember I looked at Boone. I go, what happened? He goes, we lost one. I hurt. And I go, who did we lose? Because I'm thinking Ty, I'm thinking Tig, I'm thinking Jack. He goes, the IT guy. We lost the IT guy. I couldn't remember who it was. I'll be honest, I couldn't remember. And then it hit me. It's like, oh, it's Sean. He just got here, Sean Smith. Like, 2 days he's been there, he's dead. I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm pretty much unscathed. I've got some few injuries here and there. 2 days, he's dead. That's war. This is how it is. That's war. We accept that. Us guys that go down range, we accept that's what it is. It's demons that we deal with forever, but that's what we accept it. Well, I remember when he says that, because he's a Marine, he's a professional, all I have to do to get him refocused is I just go, Sergeant, because he was a sergeant in the Corps. I go, Sergeant. His eye, you can just tell, he just comes back and he just, back to stone-faced Boone. Professional. I run to the front of the villa because I want to see what's going on. I want to see what Sean, just to reconfirm. And I see Jack Silva over Sean's body. Sean's dead. It's obvious. Him and Dave Ubben had pulled him out of that building. And then I look at Scott Wickland, who was with the ambassador, lost control of him that night. I don't blame him. He was watching himself get cooked alive. I don't blame him. Self-preservation. He's rocking. He was just with me. He was just with me. He's rocking back and forth saying that over and over because he's going into shock. Now, you military guys know the math that we learn when we're in basic training, right? You know. When you have a casualty, it takes 3 guys out of the fight. We have a dead body, and now we have if he goes into shock, we have a casualty. We're combat ineffective. We only have 6 guys. So Jack does something amazing, and I still remember smiling, looking and going, how blessed am I to be with these guys in this situation? Navy SEAL Jack, he's doing chest compressions on Sean, looking up at Scott going, stay with me, man, stay with me. He's just trying to stay positive. He knows Sean's dead. Sacrifice. He's sacrificing his emotional state to go ahead and help out Scott because we need Scott in the fight. We can't have him go down. It's amazing. But I expect nothing less from a Navy SEAL. These guys are trained hard. That's why they're pushed hard. They maintain. Ty comes up and puts his arm around Scott and says, hey, man, we're still in this fight. We're still in this fight. It's amazing. I get chills every time I talk about it. I've been talking about this for 4 years. Well, I remember that. I remember Scott comes out of his shock. You can just see his eyes kind of come back. And then I remember Jack and Dave put Sean's body in the back of our SUV that got driven up. And that's when Ty comes up to me and says, hey, they forgot all their classified information. You got to go back to their talk and get it. Roger. So me and Jack run all the way back. It's about 100 meters. We run back to the talk, their Tactical Operations Center. We don't carry incendiary grenades. Even though we are cleared, you guys, this is government for you, we're cleared to carry incendiary grenades that burn. You can throw them in, they burn everything up. We're cleared within the Special Operations community. Ranger SEALs, they allow us to carry them because we didn't go through the CIA incendiary grenade throwing course. They pull a pin, throw a grenade. We weren't allowed to carry them. So we just have knives. We don't know what to do. Well, classified information must be all that electronic media in there. We'll just start cutting wires. So we're just cutting wires, getting all the electronic media out of there, trying to find out everything that we thought could be classified. And we start running back to the vehicles and to the villa. Now, I want you to imagine something. I'm Mexican, so Mexicano, I am. Jack's Portuguese, which is Mexican light, basically, is what he is. We're running through this 9-acre compound. All these buildings are on fire. Trees are on fire. Windows are broken out. We're running back like this, carrying a bunch of computers. You know I'm going with this. Jack looks at me because he could tell that, and I was starting to go down. Jack looks at me and he thinks all us Mexicans speak like Cheech Marin does from Cheech and Chong. That's what he thinks. And he looks at me and goes, "Hey man, that doesn't look like we just robbed the Best Buy," and I about fell over. I needed it though. He could tell I needed that pick-me-up. Even if it was to make fun of my ethnicity. It doesn't bother me. I'm not butthurt over it. That's what we do. Don't get hurt over silly things like that. This is too sensitive in today's society. Way too sensitive. But I needed it, and it worked. I came back. I laughed. I'm like, okay, laughter's the best medicine. It is. And I remember we throw back our stuff in the back of that SUV, all that classified information. We go back to our positions and pull security because we still haven't found the ambassador. And all of a sudden I hear a boom. And I'm in a building. There's a building. The villa's like this. I'm on this corner. There's an explosion on this corner. I feel it. You always feel that explosion. You can feel the pressure. It kind of sucks the wind out of you. And as it explodes, I come up and I go like this. And I see a Libyan run by me. There's Libyans all over the base now. It's like a block party. It really is. And as he's running by me like this, he's holding his hand. Or what his hand used to be. There's no hand. It's gone. Just flesh and just good lunch talk, right? Hope you enjoy your chicken. So I'm like this, and I see him come by. And then I see, it's surreal, and I start laughing. It reminds me of a carnival game. You know, where you shoot the guys going back and forth? There's a buddy of his, a Libyan, who's running from behind. So the Libyan with no hands up there, his buddy's here holding his hand, going, hey, you forgot your hand. So I'm like, hey man, your buddy, he's got your hand, stop. And I go, what happened? That's instinctively, I just go, what happened? I don't know if they speak English. He goes, grenade. So as soon as he says grenade, I go, oh, well, serves you right. Don't throw grenades at this, you idiot. You won't blow your hand off. And if you do, make sure you throw it 2 seconds after you pull the pin instead of 3. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right. Get back in there. I wasn't mad. I was like, stop. Then the second explosion hits. Boom. And I heard the first little explosion, which is an RPG. RPGs they don't do that. You have to do that in the movies because in real life you will never see an RPG. They're that fast. Boom. They go boom from the propellant when they explode, and then that pushes the RPG, and then they go boom when it actually explodes and hits. So boom, boom. And this one's close, but luckily it was on the back side of that building, so I didn't catch any shrapnel, but it did, oh, that hurt. Sucked the wind right at you. You feel it. And I got knocked down a little bit, and I picked myself back up, and I'm like, oh crap, and then the snap started again. Snap. And we're getting counterattacked. They're coming back at us again. And I find anything I could. There was a vehicle that was nearby, a Land Cruiser, and I got behind the engine block, and I got on the hood, stood off a little bit, and I just started shooting. I'm thinking, shoot back. Never quit. You never give up. Don't stop. Keep fighting. And then somebody, as I'm shooting, like this, I hear somebody go, brrr, and it's a horn. I'm thinking I'm hearing things like, who's honking a horn at me in the middle of firefight? Okay. And I just keep shoot. And brrr. I heard it that time, and I look. The State Department guys were already in their Land Cruiser. They wanted to get out of there. It's an armored vehicle. They're in that Land Cruiser. They want to leave. Tano has cover. Who cares? And I look at Scott, and I'm like, hey, you're in an armored vehicle. Could I utilize this just for a little bit? I'm getting shot at, you know? And I'm shooting. He's still honking the horn at me. And finally, I just said, yeah, fine, come on. I go, come on then. And I remember I took a knee. I felt good. I felt protected. I don't feel like it every time. I'm not going to tell you I do, but I did. Felt like somebody just, who I believe God had his hand right over me. I'm good. Bam, I'm shooting. And I'm thinking of the old Rangers. I'm thinking of Vietnam Rangers. I'm thinking of Panamanian Rangers that jumped into Rio Hato. And they landed on that flat tarmac with no cover. This was going through my head. And they shot their way off. So, well, they're getting shot at by more than what I am. If I can do it, I can do it. And I kneel, and I'm good. And I watch out of the corner of my eye. I watch the State Department guys go right. Then I watch them go right again. And I hear Jack and Ty on the radio go, you're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. They did. If you watch the movie again, see what happened to them. They got crushed. The consulate, not only was it indefensible, it was also built right next to Ansar Sharia's safe house. The group that attacked them, they were their neighbors. The terrorist group that's now ISIS. State Department needs to do a little bit better on their due diligence when putting up consulates. We couldn't do anything for them. We're in our firefight on our own, and we just start shooting. And I'm shooting as fast as I can. And as I'm shooting, this AK-47 muzzle, I see it out of the corner of my eye, and it's right next to my ear, and it goes boom, and my right ear, because I don't wear hearing protection, goes, because the explosion of that round, and I look, and it's this Libyan. It looked like he just got off work from Mutual of Omaha, and just took a knee right next to me. Nice button-down shirt, nice slacks, nice shoes. And I'm thinking to myself, ain't this the damnedest thing? God just put a little Libyan angel right next to me. Where'd this guy come from? And I'm shooting, Libyan shooting. And I'm running out of ammunition. And I don't want to go searching through my pockets. It's going to take time. And my best friend, Boone, he knows what I need. He's already got a magazine in his hand. He runs, takes a knee next to me, he slides it across to me. Bam, I'm going in. Libyan angel shooting. And then there's Boone shooting. And then I look up on top of the villa. And I see Tig. I didn't know it was Tig. I saw a muzzle flash initially. I look up and I'm like, who was on top of that burning building putting fire down? It's Tig. It's a Marine. Selfless service, sacrifice. That's a leader right there. Lead by example. He's up on a burning building. I remember asking him, because he's a Marine, I wanted to make sure, sometimes the Marines, their synapses don't fire and match all the time. I go, you did realize that building was on fire, right, Marine? Roger, Semper Fudge, you remember that? He says, Roger. He goes, I just didn't want to let you guys down. It's a better fighting position. I make fun of Marines. My best friend's a Marine. I will always go to combat with a Marine because they will always put themselves out front, always. And he did that. We ended up fighting off those bad guys. Ansar Sharia, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. We have an ISR that was overhead, it's been overhead since 11:30, a drone that is giving feeds all the way back to DC, to AFRICOM, and to our facility in Tripoli. So everybody's seeing in the world right now what's going on at 11:30 Libyan time. The ISR is coming to us and saying, you guys got to get back to the annex. There are people massing, you got to protect it. There's 25 people. And at that point in time, there ended up being 36 total, but at that point in time, before the Tripoli team came in, we had about 25, 26 people there that we had to protect. So we get in our vehicles and we leave. And we leave the compound. We get back to the annex, and I get up on my fighting position, and I said, sometimes leaders, you got to make tough decisions, and it will affect you for the rest of your lives. I'm going to tell you, your decisions won't. You will. You have to live with them. Make a decision, though. We did. And we left somebody. Never leave the fallen comrade to fall in the hands of the enemy. That's part of the fifth stanza of the Ranger Creed. We left the ambassador. Couldn't find him. We had to make a choice. Do we stay? We don't even know if he's there. Or do we get back to our compound and protect the people that we know are alive in there? Well, he was found at 1 in the morning, half on his bed, half on the floor in the safe room, where a safe room was, when the local Libyans pulled him out when the fire died down. Man behind. I will live with that for the rest of my life every day. But it was the right decision to make, or we would have been picking up 25 dead bodies. We get back to the annex, and I remember we get back and there's people massing. They're already starting to mass. The bad guys are massing already. And they're moving on us. And I'm telling you what, if you watch the movie again, Michael did such a great job doing the night vision scenes, the night fight. That's exactly what it looks like. We also told them that if you mess the movie up, we're going to waterboard them. You guys think I'm crazy? We did. We told Yeah. Those night vision scenes, and you're watching them move towards us. I remember they're coming, and I'm just going, are we expecting friendlies? Are we expecting friendlies? Chief, team leader, what are we expecting? There's guys moving on us. I need to know if they're good or bad. I do not want to shoot somebody that's good. I don't want to kill a kid because they kept using houses to get closer to us that had children. I've seen children die in these wars. They don't deserve that. We had so much shooting discretion that night. It was amazing. I just couldn't believe how much we were holding back. But they're moving, and I keep hearing Ty and they're ready to go, Tano, I know you see, unless you see an AK-47, I know you're seeing people, don't shoot, I don't want to go to prison. Contractors from Blackwater had just gone to federal prison for a Nisar Square incident in Iraq, so we knew we had that over our heads too. So we're watching, and I see a fizz come over the back fence. As I see this fizz, it's like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, or a Bugs Bunny cartoon with like stick dynamite, you see it lands. I see it come over this fizz, I'm like, what is that? And then I see Tig out of his position, and it's like, you just want to go, no, stop. Why are you not in your fighting position? And then, boom. And it's this monstrous explosion. And you just feel the reverberation. And I look in, I'm like, well, I'll pick up Tig's body parts later. And you swing and you just start engaging. Finish the job. Gotta finish it. Put that badness aside, let it out. We'll deal with it later. Finish the job first. And we just take out the bad guys. When the firefight's done, I look, Tig's not there. I'm expecting to see like body parts there. He's not there. He's in his fighting position. And I'm like, holy crap, Tig, what are you getting in these Marine Corps barracks and what are they feeding you? I want some of that stuff, man. He actually got hit with a round in his armor too. His armor caught a round that first firefight too. We were steel plates. At least over there we were. Well, he got hit with what's called a gelatina bomb. No shrapnel. These things are just huge flash bangs, and they use them for fishing. That's primarily what they're used for. Fish are big in the ocean. It's Mediterranean redneck fishing is really what it is when they drop them in there. And because Tig is so big, it didn't stop his heart. Tig's a big dude. If a little guy like me, I'd have been dead. It would have stopped my heart like that. Heart's gone. Tig's messed up for life. His shoulder's jacked up. His back is always going to be jacked up, but he fought through it. Never quit. You never, ever quit. Leaders never quit. Lead by example. Lead from the front. Well, we wait between 1 and 3. This is kind of a comical part because Boone keeps, I mean, you may not think I thought it was. Boone keeps coming up to me every 5 minutes. We're in our building. We're waiting. He's like, hey, I got word Delta's coming in. They don't come back to me. He goes, no, I'm sorry. 5 minutes later, no, they're not coming. Then 5 minutes later, comes to me again. He goes, Spectre gunship, we got a Spectre. Then he comes back to me later, no, they're not coming either. Then he comes, SIF, 10 Special Forces Group, the Commander's Extremist Force, they're coming. No, they're not coming either. He came up to me at like the 5th time, and I go, hey, if it ain't Domino's Pizza, I don't even want to know who's coming anymore, because you're breaking my heart here, brother. We just realized at that point in time, between that first fire and second firefight, we were on our own. Nobody's coming. You have a choice. You can drop, quit, or you can continue to fight through. My head, what I went through is like, I'm not going to be on TV in an orange jumpsuit. I will fight till it's my last breath, not giving up. And I know the rest of the guys felt the same way. At 3 o'clock, we get hit again, this time by a bigger force, wave after wave. And they're coming through this area called Zombieland, and you're just zipping them up. Movie, again, does a great job, so does the book, which we wrote. And we're just shooting. I'm just shooting prairie dogs in my night vision. I'm looking prairie dog down, prairie dog down, prairie dog down. If that's insensitive, then go fight terrorists and see what they do and tell me if it's insensitive again. We took them out as a team. It was beautiful. Again, team fighting together. After that second firefight, which lasted a little bit longer because it was more people, I remember looking at Boone. We had a little bit of a break, and I sat down. I had a little lawn chair. One of the case officers brought it up to me, and I sat down, got a Snickers, got some Gatorade, because we had Snickers and Gatorade. Snickers does help. Tell you what, that commercial ain't a joke. If you're feeling down, get a Snickers, it'll pick you back up. Me and my Snickers. I look at Boone, and I just say a few things to him. I just want to be reaffirmed. I know he's going to do this. And I go, hey, man, you know, they're going to get this figured out soon. They're going to come at us with something bigger. We're going to have to get off this roof and engage them direct. When you watch that, that's exactly what I said. The movie, it's exactly. And what I was trying to ask him is was saying, because in a manly sort of way, you realize we're going to get off this roof, we're going to have to die. We're probably going to die. Are you with me? That's what that's what I was saying to him. And when I said it, I go, we're going to have to get off this roof and engage him direct. He just looked at me and he just goes, yep. And he looked back away. You can go to hell and back when you're with a good friend or you're with somebody you trust. And I knew I had him. And that worry, or whatever it was, went away. It's like, oh, let's do this. Well, we get word about 5 in the morning, and we had a little bit of a couple-hour lull, that Bub's team was coming in from Tripoli. Bub died that night, too. Navy SEAL Bub, SEAL Team 3, great guy. He never quit. The GRS guys and 2 Delta Force guys found a way to get from Tripoli to us to help us. How they do it, they went to the local airport, they rented a plane. They flew in a G6 over. Flew in style, man. Dom Perignon, whatever else they had on that plane. But they flew to combat in a G6 over there. Bub will never see what his actions did, though. And he didn't expect it. Don't do anything to expect an award. Don't do anything to expect accolades. You do it because you want to do it and it's the right thing to do. And Bub did the right thing. Because he got that plane there, 2 other guys didn't die that night. And I'll tell you why here in a bit. But I remember Bub's coming in and he cannot find the compound. The local force that's trying to escort him in, they don't know where we're at either. And Bub was on the radio going, guys, we cannot find your compound. We've been driving around forever. We don't know where you're at. Nobody had been to Benghazi on that team before. And Delta guys either. And I go, Bub, get your night vision on, brother. I'm going to lasso our location, mark our location. And he gets his night vision on. He goes, I got it. I go, I'm going to do this. And I went like this with my infrared laser on my rifle. I go. He goes, I got it. I got it. I go, and then I pointed to the front gate. He goes, I got it. I'm coming in. Now, I could feel the morale. 8.5 hours we've been at it. The morale of the team was just dropping, just lower. And I said, I got to tell a joke. I couldn't think of anything. I was so tired. So I did self-deprecating humor. I made fun of myself. It's okay to make fun of yourself. Again, put that pride and ego aside. Make fun of yourself to help out others. So I did. Little did I know it was going to be in a movie. Everybody can see. After I did this and Bub said I got it, I put my weapon down. I went, break, break. Guys, I know this is an awkward time to tell you this, but I've had to take a crap since we left the consulate, and I could hear people laughing on their roofs. Now, the joke's not funny. Timing is funny. That's what was funny. The only reason I could think of it, though, is because I did for 5 hours. I had a turtle head during 2 firefights poking out for 5 hours. That's why you don't want to buy my shorts, guys, if I ever sell them to anybody. If you think I'm lying, I'm being totally honest. But me making fun of myself helped the team because I could hear Jack laughing on his roof. I could hear Boone, and I even looked over at Boone over my shoulder. He's going, you idiot, but he's laughing. We needed it. We had needed to pick ourselves back up because we were in one more mess, one more firefight. And it works. Bub comes in, the Delta guys come in. Bub goes up to Building C. I'm on Building A. Building C is about to the back of that room, maybe not quite that far, maybe a little bit, 10 meters closer. But I see Oz, I see Bub, I see Tyrone, Roan, and I see Dave Ubin. And I see those 4 up on Building C, our main building, where all of our classrooms, all of our weapons are. That's if you're going to hit a building, that's the building you want to hit. And I look, and there's this local militia that's parked outside that escorted Bub's team in. And I hear, it didn't sound like a mortar. This hearing had been shot out during the Libyan Angel firefight, the consulate. This ear had actually been shot out by Boone during the second firefight on purpose. He thought it was funny keeping that .308 rifle right next to my ear. And every time I tried to shift away from him during the second firefight, he kept shifting with me because he thought it was hilarious keeping that muzzle right there. Never have your best friend be a Marine. That's the kind of crap they do, even during firefights. But I couldn't hear. And I went, did you hear that? I got my radio. Hear that? And then it just hit me. It's like, that was a mortar. And I've heard mortars before. It didn't sound like a mortar, but again, my hearing's gone. But something hit me and said, that's a mortar, you idiot. And I went, mortars, mortar. And as soon as I said, take cover, you see, boom. Now, when you see a mortar and explosion go off with your night vision just goes white. Just whoo, it comes back. And as it refocuses, because it's just too much light. It's pretty awesome. Just, wow, the whole world's white, then it comes back. And I saw that whole rooftop spin, and I saw Ty get his machine gun, and he just went cyclic. Which bitch, you hold the trigger down, the belt-fed weapon, and I just see him, he's just going, because they were getting hit again. And he's just mowing people down. Just, looks like a laser with the night vision. And I see the other guy shooting up there. And I look, because I'm expecting us to get overrun, because that's what we would do. Mortars come this way, we send the cavalry, and they overrun the Alamo like that. So I'm expecting to see a ton of Libyans coming over that wall, a ton of terrorists, not Libyans, but terrorists, coming over that wall. And I see the local militia take off, and I'm thinking, you chickens, come back. As I come back again to re-engage and put my gun back in the fight, I see another boom, and this guy goes down. I see Dave Ubin. He goes down. He got shrapnel in his face. He says, I'm hit. You can hear him. He thinks he's going to die. When you hear somebody's going to die, you can hear that voice just ingrained in you. Because I'm hit. Can't help him. We're still in a firefight. I come back. No coming. I come back again, and I see boom, boom, boom. And my night vision goes white for an extended period of time. As it comes back, all I see is pixie dust. It looks like dust. When a mortar or some rocket or something hits, the debris gets heated, and it gets electrically charged, and it looks like pixie dust, like Peter Pan. It's like raining down, and I see no team. basically watch my team get turned to dust. That's what it looked like. And I put my head down for a second. I went, we can't beat this. In my head, I'm going, we can't beat this. We don't have any air support, even though I asked for it 3 times that night. And then God said, get your gun up, Ranger. You never quit, ever. No matter what you're faced with, you keep pushing on. And I get re-engaged again. And the rest of the team that we had left re-engaged. I see Tig, I'm already up on that roof, that Marine, he's already up on that roof, even though that roof is fire for effect, which means every mortar that's going to come in is going to hit right there again. He's already up on that roof to see if there's survivors. Give of yourself, selfless service, sacrifice. That's a Marine. I do see a guy get up. I'm like, holy crap. And he's getting up and he's trying to shoot. And every time he tries to shoot, his rifle falls. Well, it's Oz. It's the other Marine. He's still alive. He has no arm, though. His arm's been severed almost off. It's just hanging by some tendons. So every time he tries to get his gun up, it falls because he has no support hand, but he doesn't realize it. He's in shock. He just got rocked by 381 mortars, 81 millimeter mortars. I remember Tig said he sat him down, and Oz was already trying to get a tourniquet on his arm to stop the blood flow. You know, he's going to bleed out. So Tig says, okay, he's doing good. He goes over, he does the vitals on Ty, who he said, and I talked to Tig the day after about this. He said, Ty was in the fetal position. He said, I checked his vitals. He was non-responsive. He was dead. Bub was face down. He says, I checked Bub, rolled him over. He was non-responsive. He was dead. He said, I went and saw Dave Ubben. Dave Ubben was wearing long pants and long sleeves. So when he went to Dave, it looked like Dave's arms had been severed off because even though they were there, they were at the angle, 90-degree angles. So he says, I got tourniquets on Dave. Dave's a big guy, too. Dave's like 6'4", 230. He says, I got tourniquets on his arms, his leg, and then I went back to Oz because I wanted to help Oz out because he was having problems with his tourniquet. So I sat down, and I started to turn the tourniquet with Oz to get it ratcheted down. And this is where we started laughing. You can laugh, it's okay. He says, I kept turning it, and Oz kept doing this, thinking it was the coolest thing in the world that he could do 360s with his arm. He said, ain't this cool? Dang Marines, I swear. He's in shock. So he's like, wow, this is, I can move it every which like Gumby. Tig's like, stop playing with your arm. You're going to pop off. You know, rubber band, it's just tendons and skin. Go, stop it. I asked him, I said, man, how'd you get him to quit playing with it? If you want to get a Marine to stop doing anything, just tell him this. He said, I told him if he kept playing with it, he'd go blind, and he stopped. That's all you got to do. Works every time. And I about fell out of my chair laughing at the base, the Air Force base the next day when we were talking about it. And he also gave him a job. He says, Oz, he says, you're coherent. He goes, I got 3 other people I got to handle. Can you get yourself off this roof? That's why you push people. That's why there's no participation trophies with kids. That's why you push and push and push him, because Oz had to get his own butt off that roof. You think if he was babied, he was going to do that? No. He says, can you do it? Oz says, I guess I'm going to have to. Oz came out of his shock and he climbed his own butt off that roof with one arm, peppered with 381 millimeter mortar rounds down his side, bleeding profusely, climbing down a ladder. He slipped once too on the blood and the rungs, and he caught him. You never quit. Don't quit on yourself. You can get through anything. Well, Delta gets up there and helps get Dave Ubben off the roof. So we got Dave off. The 2 dead are still up there, our 2 buddies, Ron and Bub. About 7 in the morning, 6:30, 7 in the morning, I get word that there's a militia coming in, and I get word from my leadership that I've got to make sure they're good guys. There's 3 guns left. Me, Boone, and Jack. That's it. I go, Roger, Chief, what do they look like? He goes, we don't know. I go, Chief, what insignia on their vehicles, anything? He goes, we don't know that either. I go, uniforms. He goes, we have no idea. I go, how many? He goes, 30 to 50, including technicals. A technical's a truck with a big machine gun in the back or an anti-aircraft gun. Blow holes for brick wall. I go, Roger, Chief. I go, do I have any communication with them? Radio, anything, phone? He goes, no, we don't have any communication. I go, Chief, how am I supposed to stop them? I got an M4. That's all I got left. No word. I saw him coming. If you watch the movie again and you see Pablo, that's exactly how I felt. I saw him, I'm like, how am I going to stop this? This is it. I found a parapet. I didn't go run and hide. I didn't go take cover. I found a parapet wall, and all I can think of in my head is if I'm going down, I'm taking somebody with me. Those bravado, that stuff that they say, that especially people that don't like military, they say, oh, that bravado is just in the movies. It's not bravado. It's just, I'm taking care. I'm going to go down fighting. because everybody else needs to live. It's not bravado, it's just what we're trained to do. And I get like this, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm at pucker factor 10 right now, and I'm clenched tight. And I see this militia coming, and it's massive. And I put my red dot on that front guy, and I'm down on his parapet, and I just go like this. That wasn't a drama in the movie either. I did the jumbo. I learned the jumbo from Sudanese when I worked with in Mosul. Most of the menial labor, the Middle Easterners use most menial labor, they use Africans and Tunisians. So I learned that. If I did that 9 times out of 10, if I got it back, whether it was an African or whether it was a Middle Easterner, it meant they were friendly. It was the only thing I could think of. So I just went, oh, ouch, this is gonna hurt. The guy in the front vehicle is chewing khat, my red dot's on his forehead. Khat is Copenhagen mixed with steroids and cocaine. They chew it before they go into battle. It's like an amphetamine, gets them all spun up. This guy looked like he'd been chewing it since he was 2. Because he had no teeth, and the teeth he did have were brownish yellow, just disgusting teeth. It looked like chewing on Great Dane stuff. And then when I went like this, he smiled at me, and he went out of his window. Now, I'm not married anymore. My 2 ex-wives got smart because I married up with both of them. I had dated some pretty girls over the last few years. But to this day, I still have never seen a beautiful smile as that poopy-looking Libyan grin when he threw me out like this. And I went on the radio, I go, they're with us, they're with us. The only dramatization in the movie that didn't happen was the part where I started to cry. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. It's just, I don't even feel it now. There's that sense of relief. They're with us. Boone says, man, where were these guys at 9:30? I'm like, roger that. It's ironic, too, and I'm not going to get into politics of it, but it's ironic that the militia that escorted Bub's team out that I thought took off when the mortars hit, they took the mortar team out for us, and the militia came in and rescued us and surrounded our compound and got us to the airport. They belonged to Omar Gaddafi. We should never have been in Libya. Don't believe for a second we were there to overthrow a dictator. Gaddafi saved us. Well, we get back to we get in our vehicles, we go back to the airport, they drive us there, we get all of our non-shooters and our 2 guys that are bleeding out. Dave's on his last leg, he has no more blood left. Oz is bleeding out too. We get him on that plane, they fly back. That's why I said Bub saved 2 extra lives. He didn't know it, but his actions saved 2 more lives. Because they got back to Tripoli and they got stabilized, and then they got him on a C-17 in Tripoli, a Medbird, and got docs on him. Those guys still have their appendages. You see Oz every once in a while on TV with me or on his own. He still has his arm. Dave has his leg in his arm too, and it's still working. Dave's still working. Oz is not. Like I said, we got fired. Well, we wait, and I see around 10:30, I see a C-130 land. And I look at that C-130, and I see the tail boom, and I'm like, it's a Libyan flag. I'm like, well, no Americans. What's going on? It lands, it goes, it parks. You just never give up, though. And we go and we talk to those pilots to fly us out of there. That plane wasn't for us, it showed up. We got lucky. We went and talked to them and said, hey, can you fly us out? And they flew us out of there. We fly back to Tripoli from Benghazi. A couple hours, I get some food, I get a shower. I have no clothes, so I borrow some clothes from another GRS guy there at Tripoli. And then I finally see the first U.S. aircraft I saw for the night, and the next morning, a C-17 flown by Eric Stahl. We load the flag draped coffins on there. The load master was awesome. She let us, even though they're not supposed to, she let us load and she already had them prepared. She was awesome. Got our flag draped coffins on there, and I sat next to the guys on a flight back to Germany. We got to Germany. USO, such a great organization. If you're going to support a veteran organization, you only can support one. Support the USO. They were fantastic. We showed up and they already had stations set up, we get clothes, toiletries, and they came up to me and they saw I had nothing except these clothes that didn't fit me and my rifle. I still hadn't let go of my rifle yet. And they said, hey, what do you need? And I gave them a list of stuff that I lost. And luckily we're at an Air Force base and not a Marine or an Army base. So I got some good stuff because they got like Neiman Marcus's and Macy's and Saks Fifth Ave on Air Force bases. I'm like, yes. And I went to bed and woke up the next day and turned the TV on, see somebody talking about a video in a protest. I turned the TV off, went back to bed. Again, that's you know, and getting through that, it was because of failures that I went through before and I learned from them. Failing at Ranger School, getting kicked out of the Army once. Kicked out of the Army once, if you didn't know that. If you read the book, you'll know it. I went back in. I went through basic and everything all over again. I did it all over again twice. Those failures that I went through prepared me for that. So when something happens that you fail at it, learn from it. I try to teach that to the high school kids when I talk to high school and college kids too. The biggest thing though is what I want to portray, and I know you've had some good speakers in before, and I know the veteran guys are going to say the same thing, is that we are so lucky to live in this country. And I am so lucky to be here with you folks because of this great nation. The selfless service, the sacrifice that we all need to do, we need to continue to do it. Because that's what the guys downrange and the women downrange are doing every day. They're serving in their selfless service. They're sacrificing everything they can so we can enjoy this meal. So, and I'm not putting a guilt trip on you. What I'm trying to say is I want to thank you folks. Because without folks like you supporting me, especially with my story, because it was a little bit political last year, I wouldn't be able to enjoy this. So I don't want you guys to thank me anymore. Don't. You don't need to. I want to thank you guys because you guys are the ones here, people like yourselves, that make it able for me to come and still enjoy this and come back to this area and just still love this country, this great nation. Well, God bless y'all. Thank you for having me. Bobby, thank you. You know.
Thank you. Wow. Let's just go one more round for Kris Tanto Paronto. Ooh, all right. Well, after that, once again, we want to thank our friends at the International Operating Engineers A25 for sponsoring that amazing, amazing talk. Kris will be at their booth number 35, signing copies of his book. We want to thank Williams Pipeline for being our premier lunch sponsor as well, for helping us put on this great event. Please text UTCA to 555-888 to get updates on the work that they're doing in your area. UTCA's executive seminar will be to Arizona this year. We hope you will join us on April 7th through 14th at the Sheridan Grand Wild Horse Pass for relaxation, networking, and a gorgeous desert scenery. Please stop by the registration desk for more information. There's an important ballot question on this year's election ballot. It's ballot question number 1. It's to support library construction. Please vote yes. Our exhibits are going to be back open. Please go visit our exhibitors at their booths and thank them for being here presenting. And if PAC auction volunteers could please come to the front when lunch is over, so get instructions for tonight. Thank you all so much for your support of the organization. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. We'll see you tonight at the... Oh, and please support our friends at Toys for Tots. I bought my flag before. All of our good friends from Toys for Tots are out back selling flags and just taking donations. Thank them for their service. Thank you all so much. We'll see you tonight.